Hey, Steve and Alex. Welcome to Wild Adventure 2020 Skyblock Edition. This is January 15th. Unfortunately, my computer kind of crashed on me last night while I was trying to upload the video from last night. And when I came back in today to try and load up the world and do some more, my save file seems to be corrupted, and I do not find my world. So it's there in the file folder, but when I try and load it, the game is not recognizing it to load it up. So I'm not sure whether that's a long-term thing, like a permanent thing, or whether it's temporary. But I thought I would do something a little different until I can figure that out. I've kind of been having the itch to play some Skyblock again, so this is an updated Skyblock map. It's very much traditional Skyblock, but as you can see, around in all different areas are some other small islands that have some other resources that I can use eventually. So I'm going to give this a Skyblock 4.3, I think, or something of that nature. Anyway, I thought I would give this a try and see what comes of this. And if I'm ever able to get the other world loaded back up, I will do that. But for now, this is what I've got. So let me get started. All of the normal things apply here in Skyblock. So one of the new advantages, oh, by the way, this is, I am in 1.15.2 pre-release. The reason I decided to use the pre-release for this is I just heard that this version does have the ability to get beehives. Again, they reintroduced that. It was initially in the snapshots. Beehives would spawn occasionally when a tree grew. There have been some for the actual release that was removed, but it looks like that has been reintroduced into the game in the 1.15.2 update. So I went ahead and loaded into the pre-release here just to see if I could make that happen. Because I would like to do some bee stuff if that's a possibility, but again, that wouldn't have been a possibility in this world since it's a Skyblock world apart from that. So I'm going to get started here with things as quickly as I can. Obviously, I'm going to want to harvest the tree, but I do want to be careful not to go off the edge. So one of the nice things with this version is that we do have that toggleable sneak capability. So this will allow me to feel a little more comfortable when I come to these edge things. I won't have to be quite as nervous about getting close to the edges and falling off. So I'm just picking up this grass close to the tree so that I can put it back down around here and get a little bit of a platform to try and catch any saplings that may be inclined to fall off when I break this tree. So let's get that done first. Oh, come on. All right. All right. Get some wood, get some saplings, hopefully. This is kind of the initial test right here. If I can get the saplings, get at least one sapling back, then I will have the ability to go ahead and play the game. If not, then this is restart time, right? So wood first, and actually I can take the wood over here, make myself a crafting table, and then take a bunch of some of the wood again and make some slabs. So we'll make some slabs and come back here and expand this just a little bit more to try and catch a little bit more and avoid losses as much as I can. I'm going to go ahead and go with half slabs here. Okay, so we have now 2 saplings, so we can continue. I'm going to go ahead and plant this one and put the other one in the chest for now until, oh, well, got to unshift for that. Put the other one in the chest for safekeeping. Alright, so at this point I can go ahead and make my cobblestone generator. Let me go ahead and make a pickaxe first. And wooden pickaxe. Alright, now we're going to start right here with the water side. Water. And then I will harvest here and put the lava there. Alright. Put these in there. Grab the block of ice and the lava. And we'll put the ice down first and get that flowing. And then we can put down the lava. And there we go. We have our first lava. Now, and we have our first fire. I do want to go ahead and drop a lava column down fairly soon so that I can get down under this island. But before I do that, I think I will go ahead and create a bit of a rail here. actually intended to put that on the lower level, but that's all right. All right, so we have my first pickaxe. And oh, all right. All right, so that's enough for a pickaxe and a furnace. Hmm. Okay, so a pickaxe, a furnace, and an axe. So that will be a start. Anyway, I'm going to grind, and we'll get a tree again, get some more wood, and we'll move on from there. So I'll be back in just a bit.
As you guys probably know if you've ever played Skyblock, the early game especially is pretty tedious in just grinding out for resources. So I really don't have any more audio recorded for the rest of this video portion, but I did have some things that I thought I would like to talk to you about. These are some things that have been on my mind recently, and I wanted to share them with you. Just um, well, largely because I can, but I just thought it would be worth talking about. And this is something that really has nothing to do with Minecraft at all. It's completely real world stuff, but it's been on my mind and I wanted to talk about it, so I'm going to here anyway. I guess for any of you who don't know me personally, it's probably be worth giving you a little bit of background about myself and who I am. I am a adult male in my 50s, actually well into my 50s, and I have been married to my wife for well, she was 19 and I was 21 when we got married, uh, and we have together 6 children, most of whom are adults themselves. Um, And I was having a conversation with my oldest daughter the other day, and she made a remark to me that just hit me really weird. Um, we were talking about relationships, and she made the comment that she didn't feel like she knew what a real relationship was like. And first off, that hit me strange because I thought that's what my wife and I had been um, showing her by example for her whole life. And when I asked for clarification, she said, well, we seem to have like a fairy tale relationship as opposed to what most people in the real world have, or something to that effect. And while that may seem like a comment or a compliment, it actually didn't come across that way to me. I mean, I don't think she intended it to be a slight in any way, but given the situation and the way we were talking, the conversation we were having, it didn't seem to me as much a compliment as you might think it would be having a fairy tale relationship. And the reason that didn't seem like a compliment to me was because a fairy tale relationship, in my mind, implies some, unrealistic or unobtainable thing. And I don't feel like that's that's the reality of our relationship. Yes, we have the kind of relationship that many people in the world today don't have, um, as evidenced by the number of people who get divorces in today's world and struggle with relationships. But it's it's certainly not unobtainium. All right, it's a real world thing, um, and that's really what I want to talk about. Uh, Um, why would a relationship that you have to work at every day be something of fairy tales? And what's the difference between a relationship that fails and one that succeeds? At my 20, I'm sorry, at our wedding, my wife and I, uh, when we were first married, my parents were celebrating their 25th anniversary. In fact, we had a 25th year anniversary cake at our wedding reception for them, because they were married in the same month that my wife and I were married, and we just thought that would be a cool thing. And that kind of in was more important. The more I think back on that moment, that was more important as a symbolic statement to us, as this is the kind of relationship that we want to have. My parents are still married today after all this time, and so that's the kind of relationship. But it's not a thing that just happens. You have to work at that kind of relationship. And I think there's a couple of key elements that go into a successful relationship. First off, I'm going to make a blanket statement and then I'm going to explain it a little bit. But marriages that succeed because they can't fail. And marriages that fail because they can't succeed. Now, that sounds like a lot of double talk, but let me explain to you what I mean. Before my wife and I got married, we had long conversations. And one of those conversations, we talked about what it would mean for us if when we made the step of getting married. And we both agreed that there would be no conversation in which divorce was an option. There would be no situation where we would ever say, well, let's just get a divorce. That was never an option to us. So this is what I mean by our marriage couldn't fail. And I don't mean it wasn't a struggle or wasn't difficult, but I mean it was never an option to us to fail. And so we had to succeed because we just didn't have an option to fail. I know for a fact that my parents' marriage was similar. They struggled. I, as a child in that relationship growing up, could see where they fought and they struggled and they had hard times. But they always approached those with, we will get to a solution. We will find a way to work our way through this. And failure was never an option. On the other hand, I have known many, many, many marriages break up, and words that would come out of people's mouths were, well, if this doesn't work out, we'll just get a divorce, or, you know, we can, you know, those kinds of, that kind of mentality was present at all points in their relationship, or at least was never rejected as a possibility. So it was always a possibility. Anything that can happen, given enough time, will happen. So if failure is an option, then failure will happen. It's just inevitable. So that's what I mean when I say marriages that fail because they can't succeed. There will always be an option to fail, so failure is always an option. So that's the number one thing. If you want that fairy tale relationship, just go into it with the acknowledgement that you have to succeed because that's the only option you have. Now, you can't just say that, because that's a super oversimplification of the situation, because there are lots of people that I've known personally who went into a marriage or a relationship that was just not a good situation. They really had no business getting married. An abusive situation, or a situation where, um, there was no respect for each other, and and really taking each other for granted, and not doing well. So in addition to just having that initial requirement of failure is not an option, there has to be a little bit of groundwork, and part of that groundwork is a foundation of love and respect. Um, you have to approach your marriage or your relationship with the idea in mind that this other person that you are engaging with is at least as valuable as you are. And so everything that you do, you treat that person with at least as much respect as you would want to be treated with. So it's not okay to be abusive to that person. It's not okay to treat them in any way other than with the absolute respect that they deserve. And it's not okay to do things that would cause them harm or displeasure. Now, understand that we are all human and we all fail at things from time to time. So even though you approach the situation with those things in mind, there will be times when you fail and you disappoint and you harm the other person. That is inevitable, but it's going into it with the right attitude that allows you to go back later and say, that was wrong. I'm sorry. Let's fix it. And the attitude on the other person's part saying, yes, I recognize you didn't do that to me on purpose, allows them to say, yes, I forgive you, and move forward. So that attitude of love and respect, the attitude of always wanting to do the right thing for the other person, and finding a way to be there for that other person. Those are important key factors in being able uh, to have a relationship that lasts and continues. And that is, I believe, what my daughter was referring to when she said we have a fairy tale relationship, that relationship that goes on. I guess the classic fairy tale phrase, happily ever after, is the thing that kind of triggered her. Yes, we will live happily ever after, but it's not because of some magic or some unobtainable thing. It is because we choose to live our lives in a way, and we do the work to get to the point where we can have that relationship. It's fairy tale magic, and that fairy tale magic is called love, respect, commitment. Honestly, here's one thing that I think is important to know about love, and that is love is not an emotion. If you live your life thinking, I have love for this person because I feel this emotion, then that's one of the things that cause relationships to fail. Oh, I fell out of love with this person. Yeah, I'm sorry. You didn't fall out of love with that person. You decided to not love that person. Just like in the beginning, I decided to love my wife. It was a choice I made, and it's a choice. Because it's a choice, I'm not at the whim of some emotion. I love my wife because I choose to love my wife. She loves me because she chooses to love me. And because we chose that and we committed to that, then we will do that even when I don't feel the emotion for my wife, even when she doesn't feel an emotion for me, we still have love. And that's an important thing to understand. If you go into your relationship, into your marriage or whatever, with that understanding that love is a decision that you make, a commitment that you make, and it's not an emotion, then you can have that emotion, that emotional thing. I'm not saying that I don't have that emotional connection with my wife. I absolutely do. But even when I don't feel that strong emotion, I still have that love, that connection, that decision to love my wife. Anyway, guys, um, that's just something that's been on my mind. I wanted to share it with you. I know that it has nothing to do with Minecraft at all. It has nothing to do with this world particularly, but it has been on my mind, and I did want to share it with you. Um, and I guess that's going to bring it to the end of this episode. Um, I appreciate your time. I hope that this kind of chatty thing that really has nothing to do with Minecraft doesn't put you off too much, and I hope you'll come back for later episodes. Um, and we'll see where this takes us. But anyway, guys, it's been fun for me, um, and this world will continue for the foreseeable future. And at some point, we'll make something really interesting of it. So I'm gonna let you guys go for tonight, and we will talk to you all later. And I hope you have a fantastic day.